Hello friends, welcome to Affairs Cloud Learn to Lead. This is Ashu and today we will discuss very important current affair of 24th of August 2021. You can see two best images of the day, but today we will discuss very important and the most important current affairs. So watch this video till last. But I am requesting you all the students that you can download our application. Application name is Career Cloud and you can download from the description box link. After that, you can log in with your email ID and click on this crack current affairs section to subscribe our current affairs for 1 year as well as for 2 years. Both the subscription prices are very much low. If you see the price, you will definitely surprise. But the most important thing that we are covering 90 to 95% of that current affairs which can come in your exam. Every type of exam we are covering, even the state PSC, SSC, banking exam, we are covering all these things very systematically. Like we are providing you daily section. In the daily section, you will receive three things. One is the detailed current affair, question and answer format, and the quiz section, which you can attempt on our application on daily basis. Next is the weekly section. Again, you will receive three things: detailed current affair, question and answer format, and the quiz section, which you can attempt on our application on weekly basis. But the most important section is the monthly, and we are providing four type of PDFs: detailed current affair, question and answer format, best 100 current affair, that is also provided in the form of question and answer, and the pocket PDF. It means the 2-liner and the 3-liners current affair will be provided to you so that you can revise the current affair in quick format before your exam. But to enhance your performance further, we are providing topic wise current affair and we are covering 20 most important topics which are very important for every type of exam. It means if you want to cover all the news related to one topic just from single PDF, then you can use these topic wise PDF. And if you are a banking student, we are providing three things. One is detail, second is the question and answer format of current affairs only related to banking and economy, and third is the quiz section which you can attempt on an application on monthly basis, and that is also only related to banking and economy. And if you want to cover all the past current affair of 2021 till date from single PDF, then you can use this exam PDF. We are providing detailed budget and economic survey. Also, expected question and answer will be provided so that you can recall that examiner can make these type of questions from budget and economic survey. And guys, we are also providing state current affairs, especially for the state exams, and we are covering every state and union territory. So all these things comes under one subscription. There are no different subscriptions. We are providing all these things under one subscription. You have to just download our application. You have to log in with the email ID and you can click on this crack current affairs section to subscribe our current affairs for 1 year as well as for 2 years. Both the subscription prices are very much low. But if you are a new student, you are just starting your preparation or you are starting your current affairs, then I am advising to buy this 2-year subscription because there is no large sum of money difference between the 1 year or the 2 years. So that's why I am recommending for 2-year subscription. But we are providing 10% extra discount on both subscription if you use this code ASH10. And if you have any query, you can email us on this email ID or you can call us on this number. So let's start 24th of August 2021 current affair, and here is the first question. But you have to like this video, share this video as maximum as possible, and please subscribe this channel if you're new on this platform. You can join our Telegram group from the description box link, and here is the first question in the most important section. India will host the second United Nations World Geospatial Information Congress in which state? So it is clear in the question that India will host this second United Nations World Geospatial Information Congress, but we have to remember exact state, exact place is basically Hyderabad and the state is Telangana. So answer of this question is C. So India is all set to host the second United Nations World Geospatial Information Congress in October 2022. In October 2022, exact place is Hyderabad and state is Telangana. So examiner can ask three things. One is exact location, exact state or the country. Country is India. And India will be organized this event as a part of Azadi Ka Maha Utsav or Azadi Ka Maha Amrit Utsav or celebration of 75 years of Indian independence. So you can see here, India to host second United Nations World Geospatial Information Congress next year. It means I am talking about 2022 and it will be held in the month of October. You can see here the theme is towards geo enabling the global village. Towards geo enabling the global village. And guys, you can also remember that this event organized in the 4 year and last event was happened in 2018 and it was hosted by China. So it happened in 4 years. And what is geospatial data? Geospatial data also known as the geodata, and it contains local information like you can say address, area or zone improvement plan or zip code linked to a data sheet or data sheet. This data can also be obtained from the global positioning system, which we know GPS, geospatial satellite imagery, telematic devices or Internet of Things, and the geotagging. But mostly we use GPS system. But you have to remember the most important thing under this question about this organization. United Nations Committee of Experts on Global Geospatial Information Management organized this meeting, or you can say UNWGIC, every 4 years to enhance international collaboration in the area of geospatial information management and capacities. And first meeting was, I already covered this point, that first meeting was hosted by China in October 2018. Now it will be hosted by India after 4 years, because it happens once in 4 years. And you can also remember about Ministry of Science and Technology, because it is related to science and technology. Minister of State Independent Charges, Dr. Jitendra Singh. Dr. Jitendra Singh. Constituency is Udhampur. Udhampur is in Jammu and Kashmir. So you can remember these things. Moving to next question. And guys, yes, Telangana is there. So you can remember Chief Minister is K. Chandrasekhar Rao. K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Governor is Tamlizai Soundre Ranjan. Tamlizai Soundre Ranjan. And very important national park like Mrugavani National Park, you have to remember, KBR or Kashu Brahmananda Reddy National Park, and one is Mahavir Harina National Park. So these are very, very important national parks in Telangana. Moving to next question. Who is appointed as governor of Manipur? Again, very important question, because we are talking about governor. And recently, Ganga Prasad was appointed as the additional governor of the Manipur, but now permanent governor was appointed as La Ganeshan. So you have to remember the answer is D. So the senior BJP leader or the Bharatiya Janata Party leader from Tamil Nadu, this person belongs to which state? Tamil Nadu. La Ganeshan was appointed as the 17th governor of Manipur, and he will succeed Najma Heptullah, who retired earlier this month. So you have to remember the permanent former governor of Manipur was Najma Heptullah, and the additional charge was with the governor of Sikkim, that was Ganga Prasad. So you have to remember earlier the governor of Sikkim, Ganga Prasad, served as the governor in charge or the additional charge of Manipur. So he has additional charge of Manipur, but he has a permanent charge of Sikkim state also. So Bandaru Dattatreya is currently the governor of Haryana, and earlier he was the governor of Himachal Pradesh. So guys, remember the state. Manipur is here. Manipur Chief Minister is N. Biren Singh. N. Biren Singh. Governor, now you know, La Ganeshan. And you can also remember very important national park. One is Sirohi National Park. Second is Kabul Lamjao National Park. Kabul Lamjao National Park. And it is world's largest floating national park. Remember, world's largest floating national park. And you can also remember two articles related to governor. One article is Article 153. Remember about this constitution. There shall be governor of each state under Article 153, and it also provided that nothing in this article shall prevent the appointment of the same person as a governor of one state, two state, or more than two state. It means one person can be appointed as a governor of one state or more than one state. And remember about Article 155, the governor of the state shall be appointed by the President of India under his hand and seal, and he also work only with the pleasure of President. So guys, remember Article 153 and 155. Moving to next question. You can also see here the picture of La Ganeshan, appointed as the Manipur governor. India's first smoke tower launched in which place? Again, very important question. We are talking about one smoke tower, and it is India's first smoke tower, and it is now located in Delhi. So answer of this question is B. Exact places cannot place. Very posh area, and you have to, I think, remember very simple place, that is Connaught Place. So the main objective is to improve the air quality through this smoke tower. So you can see here, this is Arvind Kejriwal ji, who launched, or you can say who inaugurated this pilot project of launching this smoke tower at the Baba Khadak Marg. Exact place is Baba Khadak Marg, and it is situated in Connaught Place. And this smoke tower is developed by IIT Delhi and IIT Bombay. You have to remember this. This is very important. And the new tower, it is about 20 meter tall. Its height is 20 meter tall and set up to improve the air quality in the radius of around 1 kilometer. And the tower was built at a cost of 20 crore rupees. So 20 meter tall, 20 crore rupees invested, which was financed by the government of Delhi. And the performance report on a monthly basis will be presented by the scientist of the Delhi Pollution Control Board, and also working as a nodal agency. Towers have 1200 air filters, which are developed by the experts of the University of Minnesota of the United States of America. But Delhi government is also making another smoke tower that is 25-meter tall, 25-meter tall, and it is built by the center government at Anand Vihar. Anand Bihar. But state government is also participating under the smoke tower, and it is expected to be launched by the 31st of August, and Center Pollution Control Board is also the nodal agency of this part. And guys, you can also remember that this smoke tower is very important because smoke tower has the capacity to purify 1000 cubic meter of air per second, and it is estimated that it will reduce particulate matter of 2.5 concentration by around 70%. So this is very important, especially the area like Delhi, because it is so much polluted. So you have to remember the area is Delhi. And you all know Chief Minister is Arvind Kejriwal and Lieutenant Governor is Anil Baijal. So remember this. Moving to next question. The former Chief Minister of which state Kalyan Singh ji passed away? So very simple question, but it is most important because this senior leader is very important, even was very important. Answer of this question is Uttar Pradesh. So answer is C. So the former Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, BJP leader Kalyan Singh ji passed away at the age of 89 in Lucknow due to age-related diseases. And he was also born in Uttar Pradesh. So he belongs to Uttar Pradesh. Exact place is Atrauli. So if you belongs to UP, then you have to remember exact place when he was born in Atrauli, Uttar Pradesh. Now you can see here, former Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Kalyan Singh ji passed away. But two things you have to remember: Kalyan Singh ji served as the governor of Himachal Pradesh, but he has additional charge of the governor of Himachal Pradesh in the year of 2015. Additional charge only. But he was the permanent governor of Rajasthan. Remember, he was the permanent governor of Rajasthan. And he was even the 21st governor of Rajasthan from the time period of 2014 to 19, for the time period of 5 years. And he served as the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh for two times. Like one is from 1991 to 92, second is from 1997 to 99. And he was the 16th Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. And he also served as the Member of Parliament of Lok Sabha from 2009 to 14, and his constituency is Etah in Uttar Pradesh. So remember these things. I am again repeating myself so that you can remember the major points. One is he was the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh two times. One is 91, 92, 97 to 99, and he was the 16th Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. He was also the member of Lok Sabha from 2009 to 2014 from the constituency of Etah in Uttar Pradesh. He also served as the governor of Himachal Pradesh, but he has additional charge in the year of 2015. He was also the permanent governor of Rajasthan, and he was 21st governor of Rajasthan from the time period of 2014 to 19. So these things are very, very important, and he was born in Atrauli in Uttar Pradesh. So this only you have to remember if you are a student of Uttar Pradesh. Otherwise, you have to remember all the information. Now we are moving to next question. So all the most important questions we completed. Now we are moving to very important question. You have to like this video, share this video as maximum as possible, and please subscribe this channel. And by providing these three things, you are motivating me. And guys, please join our Telegram group from the description box link. Here is the question. Who has appointed as a new chairman of National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority? Again, one of the important organization, but we are not covering this appointment in the most important section. Who has appointed as a new chairman of National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority? So answer of this question is Kamlesh Kumar Kant. C is the answer. You can also see here the picture of Kamlesh Kumar Kant, and appointment committee on the cabinet, or you can say ACC, has appointed Kamlesh Kumar Kant, who was 1993 IS officer of Himachal Pradesh, as a new chairman of National Pharmaceutical Price Authority with immediate effect. And he replaced the current chairman. Earlier it was Subhra Singh. Shubhra Singh, you can say, who has been now elevated to the Rajasthan. He now is in charge of Rajasthan area. But you have to remember, earlier the chairman was Shubhra Singh, and now the chairman is Kamlesh Kumar Pant. And you can also remember this organization, National Pharmaceutical Price Authority. This was constructed under the Department of Pharmaceuticals, Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizer, and it is an independent regulator for the pricing of drugs. And this organization was established in 1997, headquarters is in New Delhi. So you have to just remember the question as in slide only, because this organization is important, but it is not so much important that we can cover this question in the most important section. That's why we are covering in the very important. And another appointments you can see here, Sudhanshu Mittal. He was recently appointed as president of Kho Federation of India. Next is Shambhunath Srivastava. He was recently appointed as the chairman of Indian Federation of United Nations Association. I am repeating again, Indian Federation of United Nations Association, and he was appointed as the chairman. Name is Shambhunath Srivastava. Next is Vinay Prakash. Due to the Twitter issue between Indian government and the Twitter, recently a new appointment was taken, and it is appointed as resident grievance officer of for India by Twitter. So it means he will reside in India. That's why the position named as resident grievance officer for India. It is Vinay Prakash, so that they can solve the matter between the government of India and the Twitter. So you have to remember these things. Now we are moving to the next question. Which bank launched a digital and instant blocked account? This is the keyword for you, blocked account, for the Indian students who are aspiring to study in Germany. So guys, mark this question very important, especially for the banking students, that we are talking about a bank who launched a digital and instant blocked account. You have to remember this keyword, blocked account, for the Indian students, not for the German students. It is for the Indian students who are aspiring to study in Germany. So answer of this question is ICICI, but we are not talking about ICICI India. We are talking about ICICI Germany. So ICICI Bank Germany, a part of ICICI Bank, launched a digital and instant blocked account, and this account is named as, you can see here, this account is named as ICICI Bank Germany Student Blocked Account. So you have to remember this. And ICICI Bank Germany is the first bank to offer the dual advantage of a blocked account along with the complementary current account within the single account to the Indian students. It means they are providing two accounts under one account. One is the blocked account, second is the current account. Now the important question, what is the meaning of this blocked account? So you have to remember, the students who are aspiring to study in Germany need to have this account with the required amount to get a balance confirmation certificate. It is mandatory requirement for the student visa in Germany, because along this blocked account, the bank also offers a complementary current account that can be used in Germany and a Visa debit card that can also be used worldwide. But the main requirement of this balance confirmation certificate, or you can say blocked account, is you can say to facilitate the living expenses in the country and also for completing their education. So the main objective to deposit money in the blocked account is to facilitate the living expenses in the country and also for completing their education. That's why this word is blocked account. It means you can't use this money elsewhere, but you have to use this money for your living expenses and for completing your education. And you can also remember the current or the account, the blocked account will be initially blocked until, or you can say until, the account holder arrives in Germany. After that, you can use it as a current account and you can use Visa debit card. So recent related news about ICICI Bank, you can remember on the National Doctors Day, which was celebrated on 1st of July 2021, ICICI Bank launched Salute Doctors, a digital and instant banking solution that designed exclusively for the medical doctors. So you have to remember, Salute Doctor was started by ICICI Bank, and National Doctor Day was celebrated on 1st of July. So these things are very, very important for you. You have to remember. Now we are moving to next question. What is the name of automation system which was recently launched by RBI, Reserve Bank of India, to strengthen supervision? So this software or this automation system is for the supervision, and it is launched by the RBI, or you can say it is for the better supervision. And name of this system or the automation system or the software is PRISM. So guys, remember, PRISM stands for Platform for Regulated Entities for Integrated Supervision and Monitoring. You can see here, RBI to put in place PRISM to strengthen compliance by lenders, and it means Platform for Regulated Entities for Integrated Supervision and Monitoring. It is the meaning of PRISM, and its main objective is to make continuous supervision of the entities for earlier identification of risk, conduct of supervisory action, and strengthen their internal resilience. And RBI supervises entities including banks, NBFCs or the non-banking financial companies, financial institutions, and the payment system provider. RBI regulates all these things. And you can also remember, the PRISM has various functionalities such as inspection, compliance, incident functionality for the cyber security complaints, returns functionalities along with the built-in remediation workflows, time tracking, notifications and alert, and all these things comes under this automation software. and it is seeking to enhance the fraud risk management system so that fraud can be minimized, including improving the efficiency of the early warning signal framework, like you can say identifying the risk earlier, or you can say manage the risk earlier. So this is the main motive of this automation system. So we can reduce NPA after this automation system. Definitely we will reduce, and it is the function of RBI. So you have to just remember the name of the platform. Platform is Prism, and Prism stands for Platform for Regulated Entities. Regulated entities means NBFCs, you can say banks, financial institution, payment system providers, for integrated supervision and monitoring. Now we are moving to next question. Which institute has developed India's first indigenous motorized wheelchair vehicle, which is known as NeoBolt? So you have to remember the keyword. Keyword here is the NeoBolt. And this wheelchair vehicle is basically built by IIT Madras. So answer of this question is B. So you can see here, IIT Madras developed India's first indigenously motorized wheelchair vehicle, and it is a startup called NeoMotion IT who has commercialized this NeoBolt. It means the name is also mentioned under this startup. This is NeoMotion IT, NeoMotion IT you can say. And the main objective is to overcome issues of the one size fits all wheelchairs, which causes restricted mobility, damages health, and lowers self-confidence. So you can now customize according to your health, according to your disability. So this is NeoBolt. And the maximum speed of NeoBolt is about 25 km per hour, and it travels up to 25 km per charge. And you can see this is a type of NeoBolt, and it is powered by lithium ion battery, and it is very convenient at low cost. Very convenient, and it is available at very low cost because NeoBolt will be convenient, safe, and the wheelchair users. It will also be a low cost mode of outdoor mobility compared with cars, auto rickshaws, and the modified scooter. And currently the NeoFly, you can also remember it is a wheelchair. NeoFly and NeoBolt, now a wheelchair vehicle, being used over by 600 users across 28 states in India. And NeoFly personalized wheelchair is available at almost 40,000 rupees, and NeoBolt motorized is available at 55,000 rupees. So NeoFly is only a wheelchair, but NeoBolt is like a wheelchair motor vehicle, and it has suspensions to absorb the shocks, and it will enable the user to navigate all kinds of terrain. So this is the important question, especially for the disabled person. It is not basically only a question, it is information for the disabled. So IIT Madras is there. Moving to next question. HDFC Bank and which company made a partnership to share their network and provide digital lending and payment solution? Again, very important question, especially for the banking students. We are talking about one bank, that is HDFC, and one company is Paytm, who made a partnership to share their network and provide digital lending and the payment solution, especially for the consumers and the merchants across India. So answer of this question is D. So you can see here HDFC and Paytm team up for the digital payment, and its main objective is to create digital transformation in semi-urban area and rural India and involve more people in the formal banking system. And under this partnership, HDFC Bank will act as a payment partner, while Paytm will be the distribution and software partner. It means a co-branded point of sale machines in the retail segment was jointly launched by Paytm and HDFC Bank. It means these point of sale machines will be distributed to the MSMEs, or you can say that to the retail sellers, so that they can use these point of sale machines, and the payment partner will be the HDFC Bank, but the machines will be provided by Paytm. So you can remember under this partnership, HDFC will bank as a payment partner, and the co-branded point of sale product in the retail segment was jointly launched by these two companies. And through this tie-up, Paytm will offer its existing range of Android POS devices to the merchants who are in partnership with the HDFC Bank. It means machines will be provided by Paytm and banking facilities will be provided by HDFC Bank. So this is very simple question and very important question. So you have to remember this. So both the companies are very, very important. One is the HDFC Bank. This is again very important. It is the first bank to receive approval from the Reserve Bank of India as a private sector bank. It was incorporated, or you can say established, in 1994. Its headquarters is in Mumbai, Maharashtra, and its MD and CEO is Shashidhar Jagdishan. Paytm is again very important. Its headquarters is in Noida, Uttar Pradesh, and founder and CEO Vijay Shekhar Sharma. You have to remember this question asked so many times. Moving to next question. Nirmala Sitharaman has launched Ubarte Sitare Fund of corpus INR. It means you have to tell me the amount of this fund, Ubarte Sitare fund, and this is 250 crore rupees fund. So answer of this question is A. So you can see here, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has launched Ubarte Sitare fund of corpus INR 250 crore rupees for export-oriented small mid-sized companies across the country. It is for the export-oriented, so that we can increase our export. And the fund will invest by the way of equity and equity-like products in export-oriented units, both in the manufacturing and the service sector across the country. And Nirmala Sitharaman has announced about this fund in her budget speech of 2020 also, in the backdrop of the constraints faced by the small and mid-sized company in realizing their export ambitions. And the identified companies will be assisted in their growth and export strategies through a mix of structured and support that includes both financial and advisory services in the form of equity, debt, and the technical assistance. It means through this fund, financial assistance is also provided, and you can say support in term of advisory situation also provided. And this fund, Ubarte Sitare Fund, is jointly funded by Export Import Bank of India and Small Industries Development Bank of India, which is SIDBI. Both are very important. You have to remember about Export and Import Bank of India. It was established in 1982. You can say its headquarters is in Mumbai, and its managing director or MD is David Raskuna. So you can remember this. And you can also remember about SIDBI. SIDBI's headquarters is in Lucknow. This question is very important. SIDBI headquarters is in Lucknow. Its chairman and managing director is Siva Subramaniam, and it was established in 1990. So remember this. This is just to grow the export-oriented units. And the name of the fund is Ubarte Sitare Fund. It is launched by Nirmala Sitharaman, and total amount fund is 250 crore rupees. Moving to next question. Which bank got approval from the International Financial Service Center Authority to open banking unit at Gift City, which is situated in Gandhinagar, Gujarat? So this bank is Citibank. So you have to remember, just remember the question as in slide, that US-based Citibank received the approval from International Financial Service Center Authority to open a banking unit at India Gift City, or the Gujarat International Financial Tech City in Gandhinagar. Which is also a constituency of Amit Shah ji, Gandhinagar, Gujarat, to carry out offshore transactions. Because in 2020, Citibank received in principle approval from the Reserve Bank of India to start a banking unit after it was waited for the final note from the International Financial Service Center Authority to start its operation. Now they can start its operation in Gandhinagar at International Financial Service Center Authority. You have to remember, International Financial Service Center Authority Act was passed in 2019, but this body was established in 2020, and its headquarters is in Gandhinagar. But you have to remember its first chairman, Injeti Srinivas. This is very important question. Currently is also Injeti Srinivas. Moving to next question, but it is from picture and it is not so much important, especially if you belongs to Gujarat, then you can remember, otherwise it is not so much important. Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of multiple projects in the Somnath. You can remember Prime Minister Modi ji inaugurated the following projects, especially in the Somnath temple in Gujarat: the Somnath Promenade, Somnath Exhibition Center, reconstructed temple of old Somnath. These are very, very important things which are basically constructed under the Somnath complex. So you have to just remember, so many things are constructed in Somnath. And you can remember about Somnath temple. It is located in Saurashtra, Gujarat, and it is believed of the first among the 12 Jyotirlinga shrines of the Shiva, which are situated in India. And the chairman of Somnath Mandir Trust is Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. And guys, you can also remember multiple projects under the implementation in the state of Gujarat, under which scheme it is pilgrimage, regeneration and spiritual heritage augmentation drive, which is known as Prashad scheme, which was launched in 2015 and comes under the Ministry of Tourism. And it aims integrated development of the pilgrimage destinations in planned, prioritized and sustainable manner to provide complete religious tourism experience. So you have to just remember the question only as in slide, or it is just information. Examiner may not ask this type of question, but you have to remember about Gujarat. Gujarat governor is Acharya Devvrat, and chief minister you all know, Vijay Rupani ji. But very important national parks are there, like Marine National Park is there, Blackbuck National Park is there, Vansada National Park is also there, Vansada National Park. And next one you can say here is Gir National Park is also there. So these four are very, very important, and you can see the smiling face of Narendra Modi ji. Moving to next section, it is our important question section, guys. You have to like this video, share this video as maximum as possible, and you have to subscribe this channel if you are new on this platform. And you can join our Telegram group from the description box link. And here is the question: World Sanskrit Day, also known as the Sanskrit Divas, is observed on which day in 2021? This is very important because every year it is not celebrated on the same day. It is not celebrated on the same day. So answer of this question is 22nd of August. A is the answer. So you can see here World Sanskrit Day 2021 celebrated on 22nd of August, and World Sanskrit Day is also known as Vishav Sanskrit Dinam, and Sanskrit Divas is annually observed on the Savan Purnima, and in 2021 it falls on the 22nd of August. And it is to create awareness, promote and revive Sanskrit, one of the ancient Indian languages. Even maximum literature was also written in the Sanskrit language during the ancient time period, like Kalidas literature, Vishakdatta literature during the Gupta's time period, even our Vedas also written in the Sanskrit. So these things are written in the Sanskrit, and these are the most you can say valuable information source for the current time. And a World Sanskrit Day falls in 2022-21. I already covered this, that is on the 22nd of August. And World Sanskrit Week of 2021, this is again very important. World Sanskrit Week 2021 will be observed on 19th to 25th of August. 25th of August. And World Sanskrit Week is annually observed across the globe to promote and celebrate one of the ancient Indian language, that is Sanskrit. And the week on which Sanskrit Day falls is celebrated as Sanskrit Week. So now it falls on the 22nd. So this week is celebrated as Sanskrit Week. So Sanskrit Week 2021 celebrated from 19th to 25th of August. And Sanskrit was declared as the second official language of which state? Uttarakhand. You can also remember, this is very important question. Sanskrit was declared as the second official language of Uttarakhand. And Sanskrit is also one of the scheduled language under the 8th schedule of Indian Constitution. So you have to remember this information. Now we are moving to next question, but it is from picture. This is a children's book. Name of the book is Let's Go, Time Traveling Again, Indians Through the Ages. So this is the caption, but you have to remember, Let's Go, Time Traveling Again. And this book is written by Subhadra Sen Gupta. So you have to remember the name, Subhadra Sen Gupta, who lost her life due to COVID-19. You can see her last picture, COVID-19. On you can say in May 2021, and her book titled Let's Go, Time Traveling Again, released by Puffin Books. You can see here the logo of Puffin Books, the children imprints of the Penguin Books. And the well-known illustrator for children Tapas Guha provided illustration for this book, and I think this is written here, Tapas Guha, illustrated by Tapas Guha. And Subhadra Sen Gupta was the winner of Sahitya Academy Bal Sahitya Puraskar of 2015. So this question is not so much important, but this information is very important. And the name of the children book is Let's Go, Time Traveling Again. And this Subhadra Sen Gupta was recently died, so that's why this book is released. Moving to next question. Basically, this question we covered in the 22nd and 23rd of August, but the answer was wrong. So I am again covering this question. So guys, remember this question again. USAID, or you can say United States Agency for International Development, has partnered with which bank for USD 50 million loan guarantee for the women entrepreneurs and the MSMEs? It means they want to provide some loans for the women entrepreneurs so that we can do women empowerment. And answer of this question is not Bank of Baroda. Answer is Kotak Mahindra Bank. So C is not the answer. Earlier in the last video, I told about the Bank of Baroda, but now answer is Kotak Mahindra Bank. So I was wrong. Answer is Kotak Mahindra Bank. So you can see here USAID, even one more organization, that is United States International Development Finance Corporation, and third is Kotak Mahindra, signed a agreement for USD 50 million loan guarantee for the women, especially which are you can say integrated with the small businessmen in India. But you have to remember what is the function of USAID, what is the function of Development Finance Corporation, or what is the function of this Kotak Mahindra Bank. Kotak Mahindra Bank will provide loan, but the guarantee will be provided by USAID and this DFC, or you can say Development Finance Corporation. So this Kotak Mahindra Bank will extend its own lending credit facilities to non-bank lenders or the private company lenders operating in the MSMEs and the micro lending space. And the partnership will aims to disburse at least half means 25 million dollar loan, or the you can say total loan, 50% of total loan to women-led entities or MSMEs that employ a certain percentage of women or that produce a good or service that benefits women. So it means any MSME which is connected to women either by the product or either by the employment, then preference will be given to these MSMEs, and 50% of the loan will be provided to these MSMEs. So remember, the loan will be provided by Kotak Mahindra Bank, but the guarantee will be provided by USAID. And the program is likely to benefit almost 30,000 women borrowers and 7,500 MSMEs. 7,500 MSMEs. So you have to remember about USAID, headquarters in Washington DC, United States of America, and remember about Kotak Mahindra Bank. Kotak Mahindra Bank, MD and CEO is Uday Kotak, headquarters is in Mumbai, and tagline is "Let's make money simple." Let's make money simple, but money is the complex system. So, but this bank is saying let's make money simple, but it is not possible because money is a complex thing. So let's make money simple. Moving to next question. Now you can remember this answer. Answer is not Bank of Baroda. Answer is Kotak Mahindra Bank. So now we are moving to one-liner important point. Here is the first point. Dr. Jitendra Singh announced India to add 35 earthquake observatories by 2021 and 100 by 2026. This is the target, you can say, set by the Ministry of Science and Technology, and the Minister of State independent charge is Dr. Jitendra Singh, and he is also the Minister of State Earth Sciences, and he announced that India target to add 35 earthquake observatories by 2021 and 100 by 2026. It will act as a catalyst to bringing new researchers and practitioners across the global community to work on the issues related to rendering science to society. So just remember this line. Next, NABARD extended 24.90 lakh grant for the IMFFS project in the Cuddalore in Tamil Nadu. So you have to just remember about NABARD here, otherwise it is not so much important. NABARD is important. National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development extended this support under the Integrated Mangrove Fishery Farming System. Integrated Mangrove Fishery Farming System project in the Cuddalore district in Tamil Nadu. And under this project, Integrated Mangrove Fishery Farming System, mangroves are integrated with the fish culture, wherein conventional earthen aquaculture ponds are modified to provide about 30% of the area for raising mangroves and the remaining for the fish cultivation. So you have to just remember it is for the Tamil Nadu. And you can also remember about NABARD. NABARD headquarter, or remember, it is in Mumbai, and it was established in 1982, and its chairman is G.R. Chintala. G.R. Chintala, very important organization. Next, again, question is related to NABARD. NABARD loan extension in financial year 21 rose by 25.2%. Earlier, this was very much small in, if we are comparing with the financial year 20, earlier it was 11.5% in financial year 20. In financial year 20, it means I am talking about 2019-20. But during the COVID time period, it was extended almost double. Like NABARD loan extension in the financial year 21 rose by 25.2%. So you have to just remember exact figure, 25.2%. Next, OneWeb launches 24 satellite into the low Earth orbit. This is again very important question, because OneWeb, the satellite communication operator co-owned by Bharti Airtel. Bharti Airtel and the United Kingdom government has launched another batch of 34 satellites into the low Earth orbit, and it has the fifth launch and of OneWeb satellite in 2021, thereby making a total 288 satellites in the orbit. Now 288 satellites belongs to OneWeb, and OneWeb is aiming to launch a total of 648 satellites. 648 satellites to provide high speed internet connectivity to the customers around the world. And OneWeb will start full satellite broadband services in India by 2022. And remember about OneWeb, this important company was established in 2020. Its executive chairman is Sunil Bharti Mittal, and headquarters is in London, United Kingdom. Next, India among 33 Asian nations where children at extremely high risk of climate crisis impacts. So this is a report of UNICEF, and you can also see here children in India, 3 other South Asian countries at extremely high risk climate crisis impact. And these 4 countries are like Pakistan, next is Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and India. So these 4 countries at very extremely high risk of the climate crisis impact, especially on the children. So in accordance with the UNICEF report, the name of the report is "The Climate Crisis is a Child Rights Crisis, Introducing the Children Climate Risk Index," and India is among the 33 extremely high risk countries where approximately 1 billion children, 1 billion children are most at risk of the impact of climate change that will affect their health, education and the protection. So this is very, very important. And guys, what is the rank of India? India's rank is 26th overall under this report, because the four nations like Pakistan rank is you can say on the Pakistan is on the 14th position, Bangladesh is on the 15th position, and Afghanistan is on the 25th position, and India is on the 26th position. So this is the rank according to the climate change, the effect on the children of climate change. So remember about UNICEF, United Nations Children Fund. Its executive director is Henrietta Fore. Headquarters is in New York, United States of America, and Indian representative in the United States of America, or you can say United Nations Children Fund, not United States of America, is Dr. Yasin Ali. So remember, India representative in the United Nations Children Fund is Dr. Yasin Ali. Next, International Day commemorating the victims of act of violence based on religion or belief 2021, observed on the 22nd of August. The day is so much long, so it cannot be asked by the examiner, but you can just remember that United Nations International Day commemorating the victims of the act of violence based on the religion or belief in annually observed across the globe on 22nd of August, and it is to commemorate the victims of the violence based on the religion or the belief. And the day also recognizes the importance of the supporting the victims, members of their family, and providing assistance following to the applicable law. So now we are moving to the question of the day. What was the question of 22nd and 23rd of August 2021? Question was very simple. Who is called the father of direct taxation reforms in India? So the question was very simple. Direct taxes law was basically you can say imposed in the year of 2007 or before that during the Congress regime, and answer of this question is Dr. Raja Chelia. Dr. Raja Chelia. Dr. Raja Chelia was one of the top consultants in the public finance anywhere in the world. After he served an advisory capacity with the government of Papua New Guinea and a number of other countries, Chelia became the father of the direct taxation reforms early in India, and he was honored with the Padam Vibhushan in 2007. Padam Vibhushan in 2007, and he was died in the year of 2009. So you have to remember Dr. Raja Chelia. So you can also see here, this is the article of one of the research paper, and also this is published by the Hindu. The Raja Chelia, the father of India's tax reforms, and he will be remembered for conceptualizing, implementing India's tax reform, even as his early books on the fiscal policy are still widely referred to, says M. Govinda Rao. So you can just remember this. So now we are moving to the question of the day. Who wrote Hindutva and National Renaissance? So this is very important question and even very important book, because National Renaissance and Hindutva are basically related. And this book is written by very important personality, even very controversial personality of BJP. So you have to answer me very carefully. So I am waiting your answer. So guys, like this video, share this video as maximum as possible, and subscribe this channel. I am waiting your response. Please do these three things so that you can motivate me, and press this bell button, and you can join our Telegram group for the further notification, and it is a Affairs Cloud promise that it will boost your confidence in the general awareness section definitely. And guys, don't take life so much serious. Life is fun. Always be happy like this smiley. If you are smiling, then I am smiling, other persons are smiling. So it means whole world can smile. So thank you guys. Take care and bye-bye.